Hey everyone, it is Dani and welcome to this update video on what is happening across the tropics. And so of course this video is going to be focused on what is happening in the Caribbean. So we'll be taking a look at that cluster of showers and thunderstorms that brought impacts to some areas yesterday that is still lingering around, and we'll be taking a look at what is expected as we're going to be progressing into the next couple of days. And so before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't and tap the notification bell so that you never miss an important update. And to show your support for the channel, you can leave a like on this video. Okay, so let us go ahead and get straight into it. And we're first going to be taking a look at what is happening across the entire Caribbean region. And so we're seeing here that there isn't too much happening. We definitely see where all of that cloudiness with possible showers is still affecting some areas of the Lesser Antilles. We'll move to that area shortly. But as for the rest of the region, we're not seeing where anything major is happening right now. Mainly just some cloudiness with some spots of some convective activity. But there is nothing too major, so it should be a pretty sunny day for some areas such as Cuba, Hispaniola, as well as Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and parts of the Leeward Islands, and also for Jamaica, maybe with some occasional cloudiness, and those passing clouds could bring along with them some showers. And then going over to Central America now, there is the possibility for some showers, but nothing too major. And again, it should be a pretty sunny day for the most part across those areas. But let's drift a bit towards the east. And so we're seeing that all of this, well, most of the shower and thunderstorm activity is now taking place offshore of the Lesser Antilles. So it is not actually, this area here for deep convection is not affecting somewhere right now, but we see that there is still a lot of cloudiness that is left behind across the Lesser Antilles, Trinidad, parts of Venezuela, all the way up to parts of Martinique. So those areas are likely experiencing some cloudy weather, but as time goes by, the conditions are going to continually improve because this system is going to be making its way away from the area. So there's going to be some improvement in the weather, and there will be continuous sunny days with little to no rainfall. And so as I speak about that, let's go ahead and take a look at what the models are expecting. So we're looking at the GFS model, and again, this is a map showing relative humidity, and where we're seeing the darker browns, that indicates more abundant dry air, and where we have those darker teals, that indicates more abundant moisture. And so we're seeing here that for tomorrow on the 15th of December, the GFS is expecting that there will be quite a bit of dry conditions still being persistent across most of the Caribbean, but it is going to be taken over in the Lesser Antilles. So most of that moisture is going to dissipate within the area, and all those dry conditions are going to set in. And as we head to Friday, we see that it is more prominent now. A lot of dry conditions. We just see a bit of moisture across some parts of the South Caribbean, but for the most part, the area is going to be blanketed by all of that dry air. And then as for the Euro model now, let's see what the Euro is expected. And so this is for today, of course, and we're seeing that lingering moisture still in the area. But as we progress towards tomorrow, we see a big change here where all that dry air is just setting into the area, taking over, and it will be persistent for some time. So both of these models are agreeing on all of that dry air just coming in and really just being dominant. And so guys, now let's actually go ahead and take a look at the water vapor map, and afterwards we're going to be looking at the additional rainfall that is expected across parts of the Lesser Antilles for the next 24 hours. And so here we have the water vapor map, and we're seeing here that there is quite a bit of dry air. As I said, that is indicated by the yellows and the oranges. So that is pretty much persistent across sections of the Caribbean, Central America, the Bahamas. And notice that within all of that activity, we don't see too much in terms of showers and thunderstorms. So dry air typically inhibits shower and thunderstorm activity because that is dry, stable conditions, whereas for us to have a lot of showers and thunderstorms, there needs to be instability. So dry conditions aren't conducive for the formation or the development of all that activity. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the different rainfall totals that are expected by the various models. And so we'll be focusing on the section of the Caribbean or the Lesser Antilles where all that moisture is located. So we're going to be starting out with the ICON model. And so as I said, this is additional rainfall that is expected within the next 24 hours. So it's the rainfall accumulation, and the values that you're seeing are in millimeters. And so looking at the ICON model, we see that the areas that are expected to receive the most rainfall are Dominica and Trinidad, because we're seeing 2.5 and 2.3 millimeters respectively. And as for the other areas, just over a millimeter or under a millimeter of rainfall expected in total between now and this time tomorrow. And so as for the GFS model, we're seeing here that it is expecting some higher totals. So it is expecting that the highest total will be in Trinidad with 6.7 millimeters of accumulated rainfall. Next we have Grenada with 5.1. We see Dominica with 4. Then we see St. Lucia with 2.6 and St. Vincent with 2.3. And then over in Barbados, we see the lowest total of 1.4 millimeter of expected rainfall. And then going on to the Euro. So Euro is expecting something a little bit similar to the ICON, so not showing as much accumulated rainfall as the GFS. So for Euro, we're seeing that 4.3 millimeters of rainfall in total is expected in Trinidad. We see a millimeter for Grenada and St. Vincent, a little bit higher for St. Lucia, going up to see 2.4, and then for Barbados, just under a millimeter of rainfall. So we're seeing here that not too much is anticipated. And again, we're going to be having all of that activity clearing up. And yesterday, there were definitely a lot higher totals than what we're seeing now. Yesterday definitely had the most of it. And today, things are just improving and will continue to improve as we progress throughout the rest of the week. But for the most part, these totals, again, they're what expected for the next 24 hours. So they're not all expected in just one go within an hour or so. Aside from all of that, nothing is really happening across the Caribbean region right now, but as we progress through the rest of December, as we progress into the final couple days of the year, we could have some frontal systems making their way from the US and could bring impacts to the Caribbean, which is not uncommon. That's pretty much normal during the winter time, but all that activity is likely going to be increasing as we progress to next month, January. And January is the coldest month for some parts of the Caribbean, such as Jamaica, and for others maybe it is February. But let's see what's going to be happening. But in terms of any imminent inclement weather, aside from all the rainfall that is expected, there is nothing major happening across the region. And so guys, that is really it for this update video. And if you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments, and you can also share your thoughts there. And of course, remember to always be weatherwise.